Hey Cam, welcome to the MasterCard Cup. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at a regular speed. We'll let that play on through. We'll put you back in your dress position, and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your dress position, let's take a look at your posture, which looks really good. We can see that your spine is nice and straight and on a tilt. Legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Your arms hang down nice and naturally in front of you, and the golf club works out to the ball. So really good posture here in association with good balance. Looks really good. Let's go ahead and take a look at your alignment. We can see that your feet are running in this direction here. Actually, let me do that in a thinner line. We can see that your feet are running in this direction. Carry that out towards the fairway. Theoretically, your club face is supposed to run parallel to your feet. Parallel lines on camera would have an appearance to converge. And with that philosophy in mind, we can see you're pretty much set up right down the center of the fairway, so that's terrific. I do want to point something out though. You can improve your dress position by taking your shoulders and your arms and turning them clockwise. Your upper body stacked a little open to your lower body. And what I mean by that is, right now I can see your left arm underneath your right arm here. Okay, so pay close attention to that. And why I want you to see that is because if I actually had an alignment tool on your forearms are aiming in that direction, as are your shoulders. So your shoulders and arms are aiming left of your feet. Typically people who set up like this, that tells us that they want to swing the golf club from outside to inside. Usually that's due to the fact that they're trying to pull the ball back on line because they're aimed out to the right. But when our shoulders and arms are open like this, we typically want to swing the club from out to in. You know, we start the ball obviously in that path in some way, shape, or form, then we leave the face open, and we hit some sort of fade or slicing kind of action of a shot. And we'll get a sense of whether or not you do that, but that's typically what happens to most people when they set up open. So all I want you to do, setup's gorgeous here. The only thing you got to do is just turn your shoulders and arms clockwise. To you, unfortunately, when you do it and you actually get your shoulders and arms running parallel to your feet, you're going to feel like your shoulders and arms are aimed a little bit to the right side of the fairway. Okay? And the best thing to do is get yourself on video, close those arms and shoulders to the point where you feel like they're aiming to the right, but then look at it from down the line and you'll see that the shoulders and arms will actually be perfectly parallel to your feet. At this point in time, let's do a little split screen comparison between you and Jordan Spieth. I got some color-coded lines on the screen here just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing plane. First thing I really want you to note is that we can't see his left arm underneath his right arm. If anything, we can just barely see the top of his left forearm over his right arm. And that's what we prefer to see than what we're seeing with you. Okay? As we go ahead and take a look at the golf swing, simply want to turn the shoulders, draw the arms and hands back as well as the club. Want to see the club coming back directly along the red line on plane. Also in the early stages of the golf swing, we want to incorporate some good wrist hinge into play, which means we want to transition the club head currently from below and in front of our hands to getting that golf club above and behind our hands. Very important move in the transition of the golf club. From here, as we work the club from red up to the yellow-blue V zone, we simply want to either get the left arm of the club either situated on the yellow line, or anywhere in between the blue-yellow V zone, or physically up on blue, as we can see with Jordan Spieth. We also want to create full shoulder rotation. We want to do that about a very stable right leg, and we also want to maintain the posture and the spinal axis that we achieved at address. So as we go ahead and take a look at your takeaway here, you draw your hands back very nicely. I actually want to just sort of look at this position right here. Okay, so look at your forearms. See how we can see the tip of your left forearm? Well, now your forearms and your shoulders are actually square to your feet. That's where I want you at address. So go back to address, come back to here. So that's what we got to do. We got to turn the shoulders and arms clockwise to get them square. The only problem with this position right here is that the club's already traveled back about 2 feet. Okay, so at this point in time, when you close your shoulders and arms, get them square, we obviously still want the club to be behind the ball. Anyways, as you continue to draw the golf club back here, which I'm actually surprised you didn't send your hands, arms, and golf club to the outside because we were open, you're doing a great job here letting your hands and arms work around you, bringing the golf club back on plane. I mean, everything's perfect. Everything's just camouflaged right on that red line. Now we want to see some wrist hinge where the club gets above and starting to work behind our hands. So right there, so that's good. Your club shaft's a little steeper than his at this point in time, but you'll see a lot of tour players in this position. Absolutely not a problem. Let's keep on going to the top. You shallow it out even a little bit more there as we continue to the top. And when we do get to the set position, let's see where we put everything at the top here. Okay, so we can see that you've got good shoulder rotation, stable right side. You maintain your posture. Your arms do compress to your core a little, meaning your right forearm compresses to your bicep a little bit, causes the left arm to fold, and we really don't have the hands up as high as we see with Jordan Spieth, so we're lacking a little bit of arm extension. Not really that big of a deal because your arms are still in good position relative to your core. They really haven't compressed a ton. They aren't flying all over the place, and it doesn't really look like you've lost the club all that much, so not really that big of a deal. As we create our transition back in the ball, simply want to move our weight from our right foot to our left, fire our knees and our hips to the target laterally, unwind the core, fire the hands, and doing so we want to bring the golf club from wherever we set it in that blue-yellow V zone back to red, and that's exactly what we can see here with Jordan Spieth. The golf club is returning back to being on plane. The other thing we want to pay attention to at this stage of the golf swing is the relationship between the lead form and the golf club. I refer to this as the backwards check mark. It simply means that the club head right now is remaining above and behind his hands coming into the hitting zone, and this is what's going to allow us to create a lot of power in our golf swing, let alone also his ability to hit the ball straight due to the fact that the club is returned back to plane, as we already mentioned, which is a main criteria in producing straight golf shots. Let's go ahead and watch your transition back into the ball. Okay, so hands and arms are dropping really, really nice. You get to pre-impact here, and basically what we see is we take a look at your lead form and your golf club, and we have that backwards check mark. So creating some power in your golf swing won't be an issue. Only thing that hasn't happened is that the golf club hasn't fully returned back to plane. So as we go to the next frame, let's see where the club falls. So it does now fall onto plane, but unfortunately it looks like your club would have stayed, obviously it was here again, it would have stayed just a little bit on top of that red line, just a little too much. Ideally we want that club coming in the ball right from the red line, and therefore we might be working that club just ever so softly from out to in, but again it's pretty minimal, and I mean it really shouldn't affect your left to right tendencies too much. Again, with Jordan Spieth, we did see that the club returned to plane here. That would have been your frame here, and then his golf club simply comes into the ball from the red line, and as I stated already, this is what produces straight golf shots in accordance to our alignment, as long as the club face squares up via having a good grip. Okay, so you're doing a pretty good job right here. Let's just go ahead and bring your right to impact here. See what you do now with the club face, because that's the only final ingredient, right? Your aim's good, your downswing plane's pretty solid, and squaring up the club face is the only next issue. So it looks like maybe the club face closed a little too much, but unfortunately you're hitting the bottom leading edge of the club. I think you might even drove that ball down into the ground, or maybe it's just leaving on a really, really low launch angle. Yeah, I think it's just leaving on a really low launch angle. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to pick it up again. Yeah, we're not going to be able to. We're sort of, it's lost in the grass. So basically what we see is we see the golf ball taking off. It's right at the tip of that arrow, and then beyond that I'm not sure I can follow it anymore, but it's because it's really, really low. I can still see it still on that line. And I think it just stays right along the ground, and obviously staying a bit left because you are swinging a little bit left, and just that ever so soft out to in movement. But my biggest concern here, because you should hit the golf ball way better than you just did, and even if that golf club is softly out to in, the reality is, I mean, you would only pull this ball a little bit left unless you over release the club too much, then you're going to pull draw it. If you leave that face open to a really soft out to in, well, then you hit a nice little power fade. Absolutely not a problem. A lot of tour players have a nice, soft 2, 3, 4, 5 yard draw. Obviously, if you leave the club face too open, then it becomes too much of a power fade and goes too far right. But this golf swing is way better than the end result that we're seeing here. So what I want to do is I want to take a little bit more time just to understand, why did you hit the top of the ball? So there's one main reason. So let's go ahead. Let's mark your spine at address in red. I need to get this precise right here. So there we go. Let's mark a box around your head. I want to pay attention to really your forehead and your chin. So let's get that on your forehead and your chin. So let's watch the backswing. Basically what should happen is, we want to create our rotational movement off of this axis without any elevation change and without any movement forward or away from the box. So let's get this to the top. So we do see that you come up out of the box and the spine raises a bit. So let's mark this in yellow. So right away, sorry, let me undo that, because actually I'll do the box first. So forehead, chin, and then let's mark the spine. And I want to get this precise. There we go. Okay, so you started in red with your spine and your head, and you've moved to yellow. Well, there's your primary reason for topping the ball. So if you'd started in yellow and created your rotation, then the club should return back to where it started, which would have been on the ground. So now all we got to do is, okay, well, what happened on the downswing? Did you move back to red and then back away again? So let's go ahead and take a look. So we create our transition in the ball. Yeah, you're diving back down into red. Okay, so now we're back into the exact same position where we started. Head's back into the red box. Spine is back into red as well. Now I got a feeling as you continue to come in, you're going to pull back away out of red and maybe back into yellow, or maybe even further away from yellow. So there goes your head again. Look at your head, chin, pulling away. Look at the forehead, and get to here. Yeah, so you basically pull yourself back up and into yellow. So I think the biggest thing for you is learning how to rotate off of a proper axis. And perhaps what you need to do, as good as I thought that your starting position was, I think maybe you need to revise that so that we get the spine a little bit taller into yellow, move you a little closer to the ball, stand up a little taller in the legs. That'll pull that spine up into yellow. That'll automatically take the head to yellow. And at that point in time, we'll get the hands a little closer to your thighs. Club's already resting on the ground with the new starting position in yellow. That way when you swing, the club should be able to return back to the ball in about the exact same location that it did. Because you're certainly not topping the ball because the ball's teed too low. You got a nice height tee-wise, but unfortunately you catch the top of that ball with the leading edge of your club. And like I said, this motion is way too good to produce that shot. Okay? And obviously when you do get the ball in the face of the club, you know it's true. I mean, you do hit some good quality golf shots for sure. Okay? Anyways, hope you had a fabulous day. If at any point in time you ever want to tweak up your golf game a little bit, certainly feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to get you on a little program there and fine-tune this for you. Also, if you're involved with any golf tournaments at all, you guys are looking for a unique gift to provide your guests, feel free to reach out. Be happy to discuss my swing analysis services. Anyways, again, hope you had a terrific day, and hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video. Take care.